Okay, y'all. She created the grown-ass woman's guide to midlife. So welcome to Midlife, Jackie McDougall.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm psyched to be here.
It is funny because I was on your podcast and now you are the guest, and it was fun to be in the guest seat rather than the host seat because I think you and I host a lot, and so now it is your turn, my friend,
Right?
to be
It's
in
just
the
a
guest
relief.
seat.
Bring it. Just bring it.
I will do all the heavy lifting if there's any to be done, which there is none to be done.
Excellent.
But I want to start with your beginnings of midlife. So what inspired you to create the Grown-Ass Woman's Guide? What is it? And what did you feel like was missing from the midlife conversation?
Yeah. It started because I had a 20 plus 25-year career in television and talk shows, a lot of talk shows. And women in midlife historically have liked talk shows. But if you were behind the scenes, you'd hear like, no, we got to go younger, skew younger, younger, younger. And they're always looking for the younger audience. And I just remember thinking like, I understand ad dollars and all that stuff, but
Sure.
as I was getting older, I was like, I actually have more, as the kids grow up or whatever's happening, like we have more money to do
More disposable
things.
income and discretion.
Yeah. And we're
Yeah.
willing to spend it on things that we feel strongly about. Right. And so, I was just like, I was 45 and I'm like, I need to create something that celebrates this period of time
I love
versus
that.
tries to, skew younger. And so my podcast actually started, it was called 40 Thrive. And that was the brand.
Okay.
And I had multiple TV friends say to me, like, I listen to your podcast, but I see the branding and they don't match. And my
Okay.
TV friends are smart.
Yeah.
And I was like, totally. I was trying to appeal to all women over 40, as
Okay.
opposed to the ones who actually would want to engage with this content. So 2020-ish, I did a rebrand and changed it to the Grown-Ass Woman's Guide. And it's been such a pleasure to do that because when I meet someone and they say, what's the name of your podcast? And I say, the Grown-Ass Woman's Guide, I literally either get, tell me more, that lean in, or I get, oh, cool.
Yeah.
And I'm
know
like, that's
that.
okay.
And as someone who did branding for many years, still do for specific clients, that's what you're looking for, right? Is the all in, the
Yes.
lean in, tell me more, or the
Yes.
that's not for me. That tells you you've hit a bullseye
Yes.
with your brand.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I feel like so free that when I say it, I just know if you want to be like part of this or not. And
Yes.
that's cool. That works for me.
I
And
love
so,
that. Well, you had
yeah.
me when we met and we talked about it. I know I leaned in.
Yeah, awesome.
So one of the things I love that you talk about is you call yourself the anti-expert.
Yes.
So what does that mean to you, especially as, we both are helping women and men navigate a life stage that can feel overly complicated, under-discussed, underrepresented in the media. So how do you show up as the anti-expert?
So I, like you, based on how much I have seen of you, I would say that we're probably similar in this way, but I'm curious. I'm a curious person, right? So somebody says something that maybe is offensive. I'm like, hold on. Tell me more about that. Like, I want to dig in. Or somebody says something that like a tip that I had never heard in midlife. I'm like, hold on. Like, tell me more about that. I want to know more about what's going on. So there are a lot of people, I think, who feel the need, and it's not on their own, but feel the need to become an expert in something.
Okay.
When they have a podcast, when they have a brand or anything like that. And I
Got it.
kind of fell down that hole a little bit. I did some coaching and I did and there's no shade on anybody, but I felt like I was completely inauthentic when I tried to be someone other than, hey, I'm curious. I'm going to ask these questions. Do you guys have you ladies have any questions? Because we'll ask them together. So I'm one of my listeners who just happens to have a microphone in front of her. Like that's that's the brand I want to lead. And that's the person I am. Because even before midlife, you probably get this, like a lot of people like, hey, do you know a person for this? Or I know you went through this experience and my friend is going through this experience, like all these different little things that I had been through that I'm like, okay, I don't have to be an expert. I'm just resourceful. And so if you need
Yes.
resources, come with me. I'll get you some, but I'm not going to be your guru.
Oh my God, I love that distinction. Thank you for making that distinction. It really describes how I felt often as a coach. I felt like an
Mm,
imposter because I like being curious and I love people, but I never felt fully comfortable. And I coached for a long time, but I
yeah,
never felt fully comfortable in that role because it felt like I know better. And yes, I did when I was coming to branding or breakups or whatever, but
for
it just
sure.
felt uncomfy. So I love this. And I love the curiosity factor. That's so speaks to me. And then the resourcefulness, I'm laughing because like, I literally, when I'm talking to someone and they say, do you know someone, blah, 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 I will literally do a scrolling thing in my head. Like, and we talked about before we got on, like, I did not sleep well last night. I'm in a hormone shift era and probably going back to like what I was doing before because it was working way better. So I didn't sleep last night, but like sometimes it does feel like it's spinning slower these days. Like, I
Yeah,
do
yeah,
think I know someone for you, but I can't remember their name. I can't remember how I know them. And
yeah.
like, I'm just going to out myself right now. I'm so thankful. I have 2 rubies in my life. So if y'all need a ruby, I'm going to hook you up. And my 2 rubies, one is a phlebotomist. And so at this age, I get my blood drawn a lot because I'm always testing my hormones.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm really tough to get blood out of because my mother was too. My veins
Mm,
crawl and creep and hide. So like Ruby is my girl who gets me on the first stick every try, and her clinic closed. She's a nurse. And she told me where she was going the last time I went to see her. But then when I tried to get in that clinic, I couldn't. So I was like begrudgingly went to another clinic. Fortunately, Mimi, I think it was, or Mira, got me on the first stick, but Mira told me that Ruby's at that clinic. And I was like, oh, my life has been reaffirmed because I'm back with Ruby. And then my dental hygienist decided to come back from maternity leave, and she's also a Ruby. And when I went to see her last week to get my teeth cleaned, she was like, I heard about you while I was gone, Lisa. Because I walked in and they're like, oh, Ruby's on mat leave. And I was like, well, I'll see you when she's back. And I walked out.
So their actual literal names are Ruby? Okay, because I thought you were just saying like they're my gems, like they're
No, they
my,
are my gems, but both of their names are Ruby.
Got it, got it. Nice.
So
Love it.
resourcefulness. So I think what we're
Yes.
basically illustrating for everyone is like, if you need a person between Jackie and myself, we probably know that person.
Yeah. We've got a woman.
Yes.
Totally.
So, and so much of like midlife advice, speaking of like the guru thing, can feel glossy, or the polar opposite, which is like, it's never going to get good again. So very doom and gloom.
Yes.
And I love that you strike a balance between being honest about the hard stuff, but still making it funny, human, and hopeful. And I'm curious
Thank
how
you.
you approach that.
Um, I'd like to say I had this like big plan, but it's just how I approach my life, right?
Yeah.
So I had a hysterectomy at 35 years old. I had a double mastectomy. I had like, all these things happen.
Wow. You've been through
and
it.
preventatively and we could, but like sometimes I could swear, yeah. I'm okay.
Fuck yeah.
Okay. Sometimes shit is hard. And
Yes.
we need to be able to talk. That's how we build community, when we are honest and we can share that. And then somebody feels heard and like, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one. That is the best feeling. I'm not the only one. That being
Yes.
said, if we sit in that and we only complain, like, have you ever had a friend where you find out that like these bitch sessions are how you bond? I remember when my youngest was going off to college, I said, be careful about like bitch bonding, where you complain
Ooh.
about stuff so much to each other. And that's how you connect in the
That's your
beginning. Like
bond.
maybe you're
Yeah.
lonely, but then it's hard to get out of it.
Yes.
And then you find yourself around that person just feels negative and not hopeful. And who wants to
Yes.
sit in that? Right. So
Yes.
acknowledging things, exchanging ideas and maybe some resources, but then going like, this is also the best time of my entire life. Like, I will say, because like my relationship with my husband, we can actually focus on each other. I can
Good.
focus on myself and my health and my fitness without
Yes.
all the guilt. Like, I read for fun, where I used to feel guilty. Like, don't read for fun. You could scroll for fun, but you can't read for. So it's like a combination of, we're going to give you the most connected, self-connected time of your life, but you also might feel like crap. So pay attention to that and get what you need so that you can feel better.
I really appreciate that. It is that wonderful tightrope of some of the best times of our life are in this phase, like the freedom, like, if we've raised the kids, or at least they're old enough to take care of themselves, like there's freedom there, and we have more disposable income, and yes, the reclamation of health and fitness. My husband's on a fitness kick, which I've never seen him on and be so committed to, and I love seeing it.
It's
It's
hot.
also a space that I'm in, and I love it.
Yep.
So I love that. And you and I've talked about this before. It's about getting stronger. It's not about like
Yes.
some crazy 20-something goal. Like, my goal for the year is to get stronger. That's my only physical fitness goal.
Yeah. My goal is a pull-up. I'm literally like,
love that.
Yeah, I'm going through, I'm obsessed with scrolling through Instagram and finding people who teach others how to do their very first pull-up. Like, that's my goal,
I love that. I started doing interval training, and I do this program online, and I'm in phase 2, and we're doing get-ups, which is basically a reverse burpee. And I'm like, oh yeah, I like these as much as I like burpees. Not at all, but they're so good for you. They're great for reminding you about balance and coordination and agility and all the things.
I need to go Google that get up, because I'm trying to picture a reverse burpee and I'm having trouble. So
you just lie down and then you get up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It's
mobility. Like, we exercise for mobility.
Yes. Yeah. And this is the thing. As we get older, the simplest thing can like take us out. My sister, I tell the story often on the podcast. She broke her ankle walking her dog and had 3 surgeries. She and I went for a beach walk over the weekend, and she's like, I'm finally, a year and a half later, not in pain. I mean, I give her props for I don't know what other choice she had, but like, she really kept her mind pretty right during that whole time. Cause when you have pain, I've had chronic pain since my 20s. So I accept that and have found ways to find strength and resilience without creating more pain. But for someone who's newer to pain, I have such empathy and compassion for that experience, because it is not fun.
No, it's debilitating sometimes,
It can be. Yeah. So I also love that you say you help midlifers prep for I'm going to put quotes around this, the boring stuff. So I want to break that
boring
down.
Ass shit.
I want to break it down, because boring becomes really essential in midlife. So what are some of these unsexy things we really need to be thinking about and talking about?
Yeah, like, think about open enrollment. Don't you get hot when you think about open? No, I know. I nothing sexier than open enrollment. No, but there are women
long-term care insurance.
Exactly. But I talk to women who are like, my husband, maybe their husband is the W-2 employee and they're self-employed, whatever it is, right? The open enrollment comes from the company. Or if you're a business owner, you're in charge of that. And people are just like, check, 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 or they just don't look at it, because it's like, I chose it when I started this job in my 20s or 30s.
Right.
And I just let that go. There are so many benefits that companies have from like legal, like, we literally had our pet insurance. We had our will and trust for free. Not only my husband and me, but our 3 kids now have their own trusts. They don't have anything in it, but they have them all set up. Yeah, right? There's an episode. I could send you a link.
Please do.
Like, things like that, so I love talking to experts who can kind of shine the light on why we should care about this. And it's not just like shame, shame, shame. You should know about this stuff. You should know about long-term care. You should know about, your company disability when your plan is actually, you're only going to get 40% of your salary. You should know about that, right?
Right.
And that you're going to pay taxes on it and all of that stuff. And so as I started going through and like creating a trust and looking at my husband's open enrollment because he's the W-2 employee and other things, other grown-ass things, like which screenings do we need to have at the doctor, at what age, and all of those things. And I started looking and I'm like, and talking to friends, and they're like, I have no idea. And so I'm like, well, I'll just bring in an expert and she can educate us all. Like, so I get to learn from interviewing people, and then I create often free guides for my podcast listeners to then download so that they can get checklists and cheat sheets and stuff like that.
That's awesome. Please send me a link to what screenings I need because I don't know.
I will.
But I will say I got my second shingle shot and that shit took me down.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's rough.
And I had the first one a couple of years ago and never gone back because I knew the second one was going to take me down. So I kind of thought this one would be like the first one. And she's like, no, it's your second, so you'll feel it. And I was like, yeah. But like literally not even 10 hours later, it was like 9 p.m. at night. And I couldn't even make tea. I was shaking so hard. Like, for like 2 days, I had the chills and the sweats and like all the things. And I was like, damn, this is so real. So yes, we need to do
But
those
what's
things.
Worse than that, Lisa?
What? Shingles.
Shingles.
Yes. And I know that because I've had friends
grown ass. That's you being grown ass, like getting your, listen, I'm not telling people what to do with their bodies.
But I've
like,
had friends who've had shingles and it's not pretty.
It hurts.
And again, I have chronic pain, but I don't want that pain. I mean, it sounds awful.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
for sure.
Yeah. Well, I love this. All right. So boring stuff becomes relevant stuff at this age and stage of life. You also talk about the importance and your real passion for helping people navigate life before or at least when those blindsided moments come. And you and I have talked about this, but I'd love for you to share with our listeners, where does that come from in your own life? And what did being blindsided teach you?
Yeah, this has been, I think, the biggest, when they talk about your why and all of that in marketing and branding, and you get all that. I have been doing this sort of like on autopilot. Like, I want people to be empowered and da-da-da-da. And
prepared.
Then, and so I started talking to a friend who was like, why and why and why. And so I'm like, I gotta think about this. So one day I was journaling. When I was 3 years old, my mom died. She had breast cancer. But she was from what I'm told, she was going into the hospital to get a blood transfusion and never came out. So it was an unexpected, while she was sick, it was unexpected. Again, I don't remember any of this.
Yes.
But I think when you go through a traumatic event at a young age, it's in your body, as they say, right?
Yes,
the body keeps the score. And so I've done a lot of work, but I have found that I am very protective of people. I am very like, here's an answer, here. And like sometimes to a fault that people are like, Jackie, take it down. But
fair.
After doing this work for, a few years or more, I realized that we can't stop our lives from being blindsided. Whether it's a relationship, a breakup, or it's a thing in your house. I was literally sitting in this seat years ago doing a podcast when my neighbor came over and told me my house was flooding. My neighbor told me. And so we get blindsided by life. We do. But my goal is to create episodes, products, anything I can to help women, especially women over 40 who have all this experience and to be able to respond in a way that feels more intentional and grounded and not like my life is falling apart.
Yes, not from a nervous system triggering it's over and life now will never be what it used to be. And moments, whether it's a flood, a fire, a death, or a diagnosis, or even something so much simpler than that, can feel very triggering if we're not prepared in our life.
Yes. Yeah. And that preparation looks different for a lot of different people.
Yes.
Some people are just those, like, I feel like they were born grown ass where they
Yeah.
just handle their stuff. And,
Yeah.
I'm ADHD. I've got ADHD. So, it took me decades longer to get to this place. But I know when I handle my shit that I am just a better person, not only for
Yes.
everybody else, but mostly for myself. And I
Yes. And
feel
it
better.
starts there.
Yes. Yes. Because
Yeah.
we
Oh, I
try to
love that.
we try to trick women, or we have to reach women by going like, if you take care of yourself, you can take care of others. Why don't we just stop it? Like, take care of yourself, right?
It's
We always say
okay.
like, you can't pour from an empty cup. I'm like, you find your own barista. I am not it. Like, I'm not, I'm not saying I'm not a
That's
giving
so
person.
interesting. We trick women into caring for themselves by thinking that they can't care for I don't know how you
Yeah.
said that, but I love
Yeah.
that.
But
Like,
just like, because we are called self-serving or selfish
yes.
or whatever you want to pull out, when we think of ourselves. And so we're
Yeah.
like, oh, take care of yourself, Lisa, so that you can be available and whole to take care of everybody else. And I was like, well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love being a mom and a
Yeah.
caregiver and a wife and, a
Yeah.
daughter-in-law and all those things. But I don't think that my self-worth and my self-care need to be connected to those things. Like, it's okay to
Yes.
say, I'm going to
Yes.
fuel and feed myself without the next step having to be so I can. You know what I mean?
Yes. I love this distinction, and I invite everyone watching or listening to this, whenever you do that, to rewind and listen to this part again, because it's so simple but so real. And I am so guilty of thinking that I literally have made a deal with myself, like, this summer. Stop overdoing it. Like, why are you always overdoing it? What is that about? What is it within you that makes you think that's how you need to operate to exist in the world? Like, what if things came to you? What if you let opportunities come to you rather than you hustling like, you can still hustle because I know how you hustle, but like,
Yeah.
what if it was a two-way street? And
Yes.
it's just so interesting how, like, and it's the thing I love most at this age is the talk with myself has really shifted and become so much kinder and
Mm,
more compassionate,
I
and
love
I'm so
that.
grateful for that.
Yeah. But you did that. You did
I
the
did that.
work. Yes.
Yes. It's
And
personal work.
experience. Yes, it really is. And it's hard work, but it's so worth it.
Yeah. It's so worth it. I'm so grateful. So, yeah, whew. Well, thank you for sharing about your mom. That will change a trajectory. That will change a
Yeah.
life, and, I'm grateful for your journey. I'm thankful for your journey because it has made you who you are, and it's brought you
Thank you.
here, and you're sharing your gifts with us, so thank you for that. And I'm
Yeah.
also
Thank you.
sorry for the losses that you've had to get here.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I receive
Yeah.
that. And also, I think we all, Gen X, let's say, women have received, or women in midlife or people in midlife have received, like, or have experienced so many losses, so many
Yeah.
experiences, so many events in our lives. And we've been kind of sold this bogus bill of goods of, like, be push through it, and you're strong and you're resilient, and, like, sure, and,
Yeah.
like, it's okay to live with some of this and recognize why we are who we are, because of it.
Yes.
Like, if I could go back, would I, obviously my mom wouldn't die.
Yeah.
But the fact that she did, and I am given this incredible life to honor her and the things that she couldn't
Yes.
do with hers, like, it's made me a better person. If that's a weird thing to say, I don't know.
I get it. I really get it, and
Yeah.
that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful awareness, and that's a beautiful place to be in your life. So midlife can be this awesomely weird mix of freedom, responsibility, grief, reinvention, all the things.
All of it.
Um, all of it. And nobody prepares you for it. And then on top of that, sleepless nights and night sweats and stuff like that. sometimes. So what surprised you most when you arrived in this chapter for yourself?
Hmm. First of all, that I made it, because
Sure.
like I always thought 39, my mom was 39 when she passed. And so
Yes.
39 was the end date. And
Oof.
so
Yeah.
and it wasn't anything dramatic. It just was,
Yeah.
it's how you grow up. I think when you lose a parent that young or someone. And so when I hit 40, I would call it bonus time. And so I
Yeah.
started, in those early 40s. I'm 55 now, so I'd be like, "Oh, I'm on bonus time." Like, "Woo, what's going on? I don't even know what happens now." Like, what's And then as I got closer to 50 and over 50, it's like, yes, it's bonus time, but it's like really intentional time.
Yeah.
It's We have more years behind us than we do ahead of us.
And I
And
actually am really okay with that. It used to scare me, and I'm like, "Thank
yeah,
God."
yeah. Well, because it's like we're in a state to experience these where we're like, okay, no more BS, no more. I'm not carrying a lot of that stuff with me.
Yeah.
Um, so I think I was surprised that I made it through. And then I think I was surprised at how much better it gets. And I don't want to sound like Pollyanna, like 55 is amazing, and at the same time kind of is.
It
Um,
is. It's
yeah.
okay to say that. I think people look at 50s. I think young people, I know I did, looked at the 50s as like, "Oh my God, that's old." And didn't really give it a second thought. And then you get here and there's so many awesome things about it. Like I have to share my first friend in my age group retired on Monday.
Wow. That's
Like didn't get
huge.
like did not get laid off or downsized or outsourced or all the things that some people in their
Yeah.
50s do. He
Yeah.
chose to retire. Monday was his last day and
Wow.
he was at our
That's
4th of
awesome.
July party and he's been talking about this for several years. And we were just all high-fiving and just like, "Oh my God, our first friend's retiring." And it just got me so fucking excited for him.
Yeah. It's so cool. I love that.
Yeah,
And kudos to him for retiring on a Monday.
I know. Well, yeah, and there was a reason for that, and I can't remember if it was an
Yeah,
anniversary
yeah, yeah.
date or,
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
but
yeah. That's funny. Yeah.
yeah, and he had been in his company for like 17, 21 years, something like that. Like this was somebody who was
Wow.
very conscious about the trajectory, but also to me, he was, and I actually want to invite him to come on the podcast. He's a very private person, so I don't know that he will, but
Yeah.
this is a person that he didn't make the most money of all my friends, but I consider him my most successful friend because he
Mm,
had a goal. He had a dream. He worked in video games and he made that dream
cool.
happen. And he found his way into his dream company. Like he didn't start his dream company, but he found his way in and he stayed there for his whole career. And I really respected that because
Yeah.
and he had quality of life around the job. Like he has
Mm.
great hobbies, does really cool things like snowboards and, like flies and I'm just like, I think you're my most successful friend. You seem the most well-rounded and you're doing what you love and like I just,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Our success, the idea of success changes, doesn't it?
yeah.
Because before it was
Yes.
like, oh, the person who works 80 hours a week and they make $2 million a year or whatever. And like, they're my most successful. And it's like, no, that
No.
person who, takes trips and does adventure and they, live their
Yes.
lives, take vacations or whatever it is that to
That
me
they
is success
value.
now. Yes.
Yeah.
When you live a life every day that and even with a job and maybe it's not your favorite or whatever it is, but like people who do the thing they want to do. They don't wait and,
Yes.
because we don't know. We have
Yeah.
no idea that that's ever coming.
I love that. It all is bonus time. And it's interesting. I have a different experience. My mother lived it well into her mid 70s, but was started to have health problems, pretty serious health problems starting in her 50s. So I really thought 50s was going downhill. And I
Yeah.
didn't know why I got depressed when I turned 50. And then I really looked at like what my beliefs were about my decade in my 50s. And I was like, oh, well, that doesn't have to be true for me. And so every year I've made a goal to be healthier in some way. And one year it was lose weight. One year it was like go back to Pilates. One year it was like change the way I ate. And this year it's get stronger. And that's the only goal.
Yeah.
And, for
Love
about
it.
6 months, I was doing everything the same. And then I started doing interval training and I'm like 6 weeks in and loving it and obsessed with it. And,
So
don't do it
fun.
every day because that's not the right approach. But like I miss it on the days I don't do it. And I'm like, okay, this is me getting stronger. I like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. It's I wish I could go back and tell 20-year-old, the younger
Start
version
now,
of
girl.
myself. Yeah, but that it's not a punishment because like growing up with, it was like diet and all the diet culture and all the fitness culture. And it was like, no one ever said, go out and have fun. Like do
Deprivation.
something that
Yes.
you enjoy, just move your body. Like, I don't care if you're
Yeah.
walking or dancing or whatever it is. Like just the messaging was just so off.
Yeah.
That I wish I could
It
go
was not a
back and
good
say,
time for us.
yeah, like do something you enjoy that you feel strong,
Yes. Oh, I love that. I would love to have so many conversations like that with
Yeah.
my 20-something self. So, okay, well, you've already talked about how you value curiosity. It is something that we both really, I think, own and embody. I think
For
that's
sure.
just part of our personalities. But I'm curious what curiosity looks like for you now and why it matters so much at this age and stage of life.
Yeah. I think the more we know, the more we realize we don't know anything. Like
So
you
true.
see someone in their, 18 to 24 range and they know everything, right?
Yes. I remember
So,
those days. That was fun.
oh, I knew it all. I knew it all. And there's a sense of excitement in that because that's when I moved to California from Boston, and I just
Okay.
that was great, right? Because I didn't know enough to know that I didn't know anything. But if that makes any sense, but curiosity now is really just kind of opens doors. It opens doors to relationships. I had somebody on
Yeah,
my
that's
podcast
something
the
we
other.
talked about on your podcast was
Yeah.
friendship in midlife.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
But even marriage, right? You've been married a long time.
Yeah.
Being curious about this version of my husband versus holding him to the version that I thought he was
Ooh.
5 years ago,
Yes.
10 years ago when we got married, right? Being curious because we all change. And we've had many conversations about like, if you feel like you've changed over the past 24 years, give the other person grace also to know that they've changed and get to know them as who they are, right? Because
Yeah.
like,
Oh, I
how
love
many
that.
times do we think that? Like, I've changed so much, but that's still the same person. You're like, that's so self-absorbed. Like, of course the other person has changed
Inconvenient for
too.
you. Like, don't change. I liked who you were.
Yeah. But also it's safe. I don't have to, it doesn't
I
challenge
don't have
me.
to
Like I can,
adjust.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so curiosity makes it safe for that other person to say, hey, this is actually who I am now. Like this is how I've
Mm.
grown. This is how I've changed. So that can be with like siblings or,
Yes.
neighbors. And you know how sometimes when you talk to somebody, maybe on the podcast, like we're talking now, it's so easy to open up because you are accepting me as I am right now. And who I tell you that I am, you're just
Yeah.
like, of course, that's who
I
Jackie
buy
is,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Right. But like a cousin might be like, that's not who you are. They remember who you were at like 15.
Yes.
Right. And
Yeah.
so I think curiosity helps in relationships. I think also it just makes life more fun instead of being like, I've never, like some people are like, I used to say, I would never, if you see me running, I'm being chased. Right. Like, and now I'm like, I wonder if I could do a Spartan race,
Ooh, I
and
love
so,
this.
and I can, apparently I can also pull a thing in my wrist, but that's a whole other story. But I did a Spartan race. I climbed an 8-foot wall. I just didn't know how to get off an 8-foot
Whoa.
wall. But just that curiosity with a little bit of like, okay, let's think this through before we leap.
Yes.
We have the experience. It just makes life more adventurous and more fun. And also I get to prove to myself what I'm capable of because I'm trying new
I
things that
love that
maybe
one.
I didn't necessarily, I wasn't curious about before. And now I'm just like,
Yeah.
why not? Why not?
Yeah. You know what I love about that is you talked about how we need to give our partner grace for changing. What I love about curiosity for self and pushing ourselves to grow is giving ourselves permission to become a different version of ourselves and see who we are outside of what we've known. I think about that with like quitting my job last year and making my short film. And I knew that the person I was on the other side of that would be different than who she was on the previous side. I didn't know who that person was, but I wanted to find out. And I give thanks every day, not because the journey's been easy. There are days that are really hard because there's so much unknown and that wasn't the plan at this age, but also like, God, I'm so grateful for the journey and the experiences and the awareness and who I've become and look at what I'm doing. And so like, there's a lot of there's beauty and there's just all of it. I think
Yeah,
at this age, there's always all of it.
that's
Um,
awesome.
I want to talk about something else that's all of it. The empty-ish nest. I think you coined that phrase and I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I need to buy that URL
Yes,
before this
please
goes
buy that
live.
domain. Trademark that immediately because not everyone has that clean, like movie montage moment where the kids leave and you're sipping wine in the spotless house.
Yeah.
So how do we in midlife move into this next chapter when the kids
Mm,
haven't fully left the nest or whether that's physically or emotionally or both?
yeah. You know, I first got to give this generation, Gen Z, I guess, lots of love and what's the word? Like acceptance and compassion. Compassion's the
Yeah.
word I'm looking for because we did not grow up this way, right? We did not
No.
have all of these things happening and we didn't grow up in this financial, like in 1999, I bought myself a house, right? And, and I think I made, you know, I didn't make six figures yet. And I bought myself a house in
Yes.
Burbank, right? So like for
Yes, yes. I did the same in
$228,000.
like 2003 and I was not
Yeah.
making anywhere near six figures. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was different. And that's not even like our childhood. That's like
Yeah.
adulthood.
Yeah.
They don't live in that like they're going to have six roommates or whatever it is like, you know.
Yes.
And you know, my kids are young adults and so they have varying degrees of launching. But what I see online a lot is like you're empty nest and now you get to you know, get to know yourself and da 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 and all these great things. And I'm like, well, what if they haven't left yet? Like I said.
Yeah.
And
Or what if they
I
come
think,
back? That happens a lot. And it's
yes,
given the economy, it's real.
yes. So one of the things, and again, anti-expert, but one of the things that I try to do is have respectful guidelines. I don't even want to say rules that they would have or I would have if you were living with a housemate.
Okay.
And
Oh,
so,
that's important.
yeah, so that allows me to not be like in that mom mode all the time, but having
Yes.
expectations that we have respect for each other and all that, right? So I think, and then also them understanding that my life doesn't revolve around them, which by the way, they are quite relieved by.
I was going to say, how
They
are they navigating this?
they do not want my life to revolve around them.
Good.
They want me to go and do my things. And so they
That's
see me
beautiful.
going to the gym and they see me going out with girlfriends and they see, you know, I have a friend coming into town and we're going to, with my husband, like go and travel Southern California a little bit. They see all of that. And really it's just making a self commitment to like stay in my lane.
Yes.
And
Okay.
yes, to stay in my lane because they don't need me in their lane, but also to stay in my lane because that's where I'm going to do my best work for me. You know? And so
Woo.
it's a challenge because I'm not in an empty house. People are
Right.
coming and going and I mean, I actually love the energy of people coming and going and like,
Yeah.
you know, not knowing what's going on and like, oh, what's you want to have a party? Sure. Like you know, one kid had a party on 4th of July and my husband and I went upstairs, you
I
know?
love it.
Like,
Okay.
because to me, like, so there, it's a balance, but
Yeah.
I think you can do it. I think but I'm figuring it out. I am not here to give advice.
I was
I'm
going to
just here
say,
to share experience.
and I think it's got to be different with each kid because each kid has their own personality, their own
Yes.
perspective. It
and
would be
needs.
radically different
Yes.
between my sister and I with, like we are 19 months apart, but completely different personalities, similar upbringings, we're raised in the same household till we were both, I was 16 when we stopped being in the same household, but like have such different realities about that household. So it's really interesting. So I can imagine what that is also like, is learning to navigate it with each kid as they are finding their way.
Yes. Yes. So different. It's like three different, fully different relationships and experiences,
Wow.
So, and there is somebody who says like, you think you grew up in the same household, but you really didn't,
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
true. It's
Yeah.
fascinating. Very fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay. So got to ask this. What do you do for fun in midlife, and how has that definition changed from what it used to be?
Yeah. So this is going to sound, well, we talked about this before offline. Fitness is fun for me now.
Yes.
Going to my class, and while they're not my best friends necessarily in the class, it's a community,
Yes.
like, so like my gym friends, it's very cool. Challenging myself outside of that, like the Spartan race and things like that.
It's
Also,
amazing.
it used to be going for happy hour and going, and drinking and all
Yeah.
of that. And now I meet with girlfriends for a walk, because
Yes.
there's something good. And it's not just about the fitness thing. It's about that movement and that looking forward and glancing at each other and like being able to just be vulnerable. And I have no more time for fake relationships, zero.
Amen to that. Yep.
So
Amen to that.
I do love a good cup of coffee. So I'll go to a new coffee shop anytime, to
Yeah.
meet up with someone. You know, Driving to the ocean with my husband and like looking for sea glass, like things like
Oh,
that.
I
Just,
love it.
it's funny because when we were younger, it was like, look at these old people. They eat early, they go to bed early, they get up early. And I'm
Isn't
like,
it great? I
yeah,
love it.
isn't it amazing?
Yes.
How did we
So
not know this?
I know. Well, I remember when I didn't go out till 10, and now that's way past my
Yeah,
bedtime. My
totally.
husband, I think it was like last 2 weekends ago, we went to an 80s dance party at a club. It started at 6:30 and it ended at 10, and
Ooh,
most people were our age, and
amazing.
it was awesome. It was amazing. And then I was telling someone a story the other night. Oh, I think at our 4th of July party, I was telling someone a story of like, yeah, we went downtown and we went for pizza. We were downtown and it was, some soccer match. And so Mexico won. And so there was a big party. So we got into this Mexico dance party. And in the middle of the Mexico dance party, I turned to my husband. I was like, let's go get pizza. And I was like, and I was still home by 10:30.
I love that. I joined like a lean-in group. Lean-in, like Sheryl
Oh,
Sandberg and stuff.
yes.
They have like these groups, and it really has very little to do with that, but that's how they organize them. But
That's so
I joined one,
cool.
and so there's like, that's another thing too, is like becoming friends with people that maybe aren't in your immediate life, like
Yes.
intentionally getting to know people, and um,
I think
that's
that's
kind of fun.
good.
Yeah,
Good
yeah, yeah, yeah.
practice.
Yeah. I don't know what we're
That's
practicing
that
for, but yeah.
that all sounds fun. I love all of that. Okay. So, final question.
Okay.
For the grown ass woman or women listening who feel like they should have it all figured out by now, and I've been guilty of this myself, what would you want her to know about permission, preparation, and starting from exactly where she is today?
Yeah, that's a great question. The first thing I would tell her is I have met through my lifetime and this podcast, probably, hundreds of thousands of people. I haven't yet met the woman who has it all together. Because the one who's financial, like, knows her
Right.
stuff, is struggling with her
Health
relationships
or
or her
relationship.
health,
Yeah.
or the one who's like healthy and doing all that thing. She's struggling with money, or,
Yeah. It's
or
so
doesn't understand,
true.
it's that no one person is like, I've got all the buckets and all of them are filled and all of them are perfect. And I also think that things change. So maybe you did know some things or didn't know some things in the 80s and 90s and whatever, but like things change a lot. And so being open and curious and knowing that everybody else is just trying to find their way. And there
Yes.
are research, like lean on people, listen to these podcasts where you can hear experts, listen to, or read books, um, join circles, ask questions, lean on a friend. You know, I think connection is the
I'm writing that
absolute
down.
connection to me is like, it's everything because that's where we can learn more and grow more and exchange ideas and be there for each other. And when we feel isolated and we don't allow ourselves, and it's so easy, right? I work from home.
Yeah.
It's so easy
So
to go without
easy.
seeing a human being. Um, but if we make the efforts to connect with other people, especially those women we love, there's nothing better than a friendship with an
That's
awesome
so
woman who
good.
gets us. Just know that we're all finding our way and there's no
Yeah.
shame and no judgment. And the person that you have been this far doesn't have to be the person you take into your next chapter.
That was a mic drop moment right there. I mean, I love that. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Jackie. This was amazing. I received so much goodness from our conversation. Thank you for bringing your heart and soul and passion to the table today. And for everyone listening, this is a continuation. So here we go to our search for meaning in the middle. Thanks, everybody.
You're amazing, Lisa.
Well, thank you. I will
Seriously,
receive that.